The following is a KPB Media Works production.
Choose your fighter.
What is going on, guys? Back with another episode of KPBCast. This is the one and only Rodimus Prime. I just want to remind you guys that if you're not watching it live on Twitch or on YouTube, you can catch us on one of our podcast channels on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So check that out. You want to listen on the go, in your headset, in your bedroom. It's all good. But today, we have one of our own here today, member of KPB, a guy I've known in a short amount of time, but I'm very proud of his accomplishments and just the way he just gets around the community, the way he's just have so much love shown to him in such a little amount of time. I want to welcome Kofi, aka Koustics.
What's up, baby?
What is going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing today, man?
I'm chilling, man. You know, we're just hanging out, you know, today, impromptu. Usually I have some sort of like idea of where I want to go with the discussion, but we're just going to wing it today and just like whatever comes to mind, we'll just talk about. So,
Yeah,
listen,
I'm a massive improv.
You know, maybe you can start the show. You can just ask questions, you know. Man, put you on the spot because I'm always asking questions, man.
You are. All right. So I'm going to shoot you one real quick.
Okay.
What was a moment what was like a defining moment for you that let you think, man, I want to stay involved with fighting games? Like, what was the moment that hit you and said, man, this is what I want to do? Right.
So that's a good one. That's a real good question. As you know, doing anything in the FGC or any gaming community starts off as a struggle. Like it's hard. It's a struggle. It's like pushing a boulder uphill, and like you just have to keep pushing until you get to that apex and you can finally breathe. You know. And one of the things, pause, no problem.
Did you?
You got the sniffles?
Yo, did you behind you?
Sure, no problem. What is studio we have today?
Yo, what is Studio Indeed?
Okay, I'll get this over to you.
All right, editing.
All right, we can keep this going. It's natural. You know, we're just, oh yeah. Get that all on the podcast, man.
Oh no, please.
Yeah, man.
No.
So back to your question. I think, you know, I've told this before, definitely on my episode, which you should guys watch, the first one, right? We talked about the struggles of how we got into event broadcasting, right? And what that took. And I tell you now, in all the years Steve and I and anyone that's helped us have been broadcasting, it's not a rewarding job. Like, I have people, not TOs. I don't have issues with TOs, but people not happy with something, or you know, you get a lot of entitled people in the community. I remember when we weren't putting out our content right away that we streamed, like because we just didn't have the time, right? And then like. And for anyone that's ever like streamed an event and then go back and export the stuff out to like YouTube or whatever, it's annoying. Like, it's video editing, all that stuff takes time. And I remember like it would be a day in after the event, and we're just like, I'm trying to wind down from the weekend, right? The long weekend. Like, it takes a day sometimes to wind down from the weekend. And I'm getting emails and like unknowns in my Twitter, like, you know, where the fuck is the video? You know, I'm like, dude, like, I don't owe you anything, my man. Like, what is really, you know, like, and you got a lot of that entitlement in the community. I'll tell you another story. I was streaming. This was oh my god, like TFC, the Fall Classic. This was, I think, the Fall Classic. I want to say 2014. No, 2015, because it was 2 years in before we started streaming there. But I went to all but like one Fall Classic when it was still around. It was a short-lived tournament. It was a tournament made by Big E Gaming and Final Round and Big E Gaming, Final Round, and ECT at the time. So those three tournaments came together to make this one tournament that's supposed to represent all the regions, right? The Northeast and the Southeast regions, kind of like represent all those people. So there was a midway point between the New York region tournaments and the final round tournament, which was in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
They settled on North Carolina. So everyone comes down there to do this event. So we're there the second year, and that was a crazy year. The power went out that weekend, like that. And this is like, you know, I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent here. Like this is a lot. I just want to point out like how like a lot of the East Coast TOs, I want to put out there and say maybe because they're black, you know, that they get a lot of crap from the community on how they run things. And I don't know any tournament to this day that has faced such a hard time and then was able to still run it, you know, and come through and run it on time. You know, I'm talking about this is like 6 o'clock on a Saturday. We were like, this is mid tournament, like people are about to qualify if they haven't qualified already for their games for Sunday. Ooh. And it's getting hot and testy, and power goes out because there's a hurricane. A hurricane was in the area, and it was just heavy winds. Nobody got hurt. And it was, you know, just heavy winds, heavy rain, but it knocked the power out. And the community came together. You know, we toughed it out. Sunday morning, the power was back on. We finished the tournament on time. I mean, granted, people left, whether it was for their safety or because they felt they couldn't do anything. Yeah. But, you know, we did it. But before that happened, we had just started the day, and we were streaming Marvel's Capcom for the Ultimate. And it was the first match, and we had the stream up. We're ready to go. And the first match is going, and the first match is about to end. Like, the first match is about to end. And, like, I forget who was fighting or whatever, but they scored a hit. And as the hit is going on, they scored the hit. I feel someone like pass behind me. Like, you can feel someone's presence or whatever. Yeah. And then my power goes out over at my stream. And I'm like, what the? You know, and I jump up, and there's this some person that entered the tournament that I don't know walked behind our setup to give one of the commentators, to get something from one of the commentators, which, for whatever to this day I can't figure out, it couldn't wait until the end of the match. Right? And honestly, if it wasn't for Afro Dynamic, which I say thank you, I was going to beat somebody up at that event. Because I was like, come on, dude. And then like I look at him, he's like, what? Like, and I'm like, oh, so you know what the fuck you did, right? And you don't care, apparently, you know? But, you know, I try not to be that guy. I try not to be violent. Violence is not my first answer to everything. Mm-hmm. You know, I want to figure out why. But I was there, bro. I was there. So, you know, it's a thankless job to stream. Mm-hmm. And we endure so much. But at the end of the day, when that one person types, hey, man, I love your stream. Hey, man, I love your commentary. I've done commentary for like KOF. It's my favorite game. When I hear those things about us and our stream, it makes up for all the nonsense. Mm-hmm. That one person, it's not 10 people telling us, I don't care if it's 10 people, that one person that I feel generally is giving me a compliment or giving us a compliment makes all of this worth it for me. So
I respect that. That's all I respect on that right there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, that's no, I'm not answering any more questions. We're going back to you. Tell us about yourself, man. Like, let's remove all aspects of gaming from your life. Like, who is Kofi?
Who's Kofi? Man. Wow. So, before gaming and everything, because actually my gaming career is really recent, right? Before that, I actually always wanted to be a lawyer. I was a part of my school's mock trial team. Okay. And I had just been studying law since I was little, right? I went to high school I've always lived in New York all my life, right? Mm. Went to high school. I tested into a specialized high school, Brooklyn Latin, everything. I was gonna be one of those kids that your parents like planned a career for. My mom worked for the city. She was fine.
So she wanted you to be something in her head?
Like, yeah, in her head.
What was that? What did she want you to be?
She wanted law. Okay, she wanted law or something. And dad was an activist.
Let me stop you right there. What's your family's ethnic background?
Black, African American.
Okay, and they're like, so they're roots trace. I mean,
so
we all trace. So is it Africa direct?
So it's like, so my name Kofi means born on Friday in Ghana. Okay, because that's like for the African part of my family, that at least my family knows that's what they are, because they also are they're also part of the Afghan people, which is like it's also an African religious group. And my family always practiced. So they're like completely Afrocentric.
Okay.
So my parents have always been about like studying, work, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dad was a bit more free will
Right.
because he was like a full-time like activist.
Okay.
He always fought for the black community. He got adopted by Sonny Abubadika Carson.
Okay.
And he's always been raised around pro-African things. He worked with the Black Vets Foundation when they still had their spot over on Fulton and Nostrand in Brooklyn, over at Restoration Plaza. They don't have it anymore, but you know. And so I've always just been raised in that kind of environment where like we know we have to work hard because I was black, right?
Right.
That's not even a question.
Okay.
So that's what they always like figured for me, right? But then around my time in high school, around my sophomore year, my mom had a stroke and a brain aneurysm.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, dad had a stroke before her, so he wasn't even working. You know, already he wasn't working. He used to work at a laundromat overnight, and I would help. And then from there, I would go to the school in the morning because his health was already failing.
Right.
So he was just there, just like to hold shop until I got there, helped. And then I would go to school in the morning after working, right? That was already making me like late for school sometimes, but I'd still like kind of get the work done. But then when mom had the full stroke and brain aneurysm, I had to get into like actual work immediately because like his health was failing,
Right.
and I was the only kid that they still had. Because I was the only child they had together. Okay. They had like separate kids, but they were like way older than me, and we don't even talk.
Right.
So
I understand that totally.
Yeah. So that was that. So I got into like I looked up what's the quickest thing that a big black man can get into in New York that will pay legally, and it was security.
Yes.
My first things before, because you have to pay for a security license, of course, right. I didn't have any money yet. So my first few times in security, it was about I want to say about half a year to about like 9 months of me working off the book security as a bouncer. And no one questioned me because I was big as hell as a kid. I'm 6 foot, like over 200 something pounds. No one's gonna ask if I want to bounce for you. Right. You're gonna let me bounce for you because I might as well, right? So I did that for a while. It paid bills. You made decent money, especially if the guy.
Now, you bounced, right? Yeah. I did some bouncing. Very little known knowledge, not something I always talk about. Yeah. There was not a long time ago, but many moons ago, I left New York and I left New York City, and I lived in Niagara Falls for a short amount of time. And one of the jobs I did over the summer, like I bounced, so I know what it is to be a bouncer and stuff. Have you ever had a dangerous situation?
Yeah. So that's how I get into you. Why I immediately went legit, because like when you're bouncing, like you make a lot more money quicker because it's all off the books, and then depending on who you bounce for, you can make even more money because the person who's running it might get a little drunk or high. Yeah. And if you're also the one collecting money at the door, skim a little off the top for yourself for business expenses. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So that's easy. But this is about my last month of bouncing, right? Do a party over in Williamsburg, and these dudes get into a fight, right? Because one dude's just being hella creepy at the party, and all these are illegal parties because these are the high school kids, the specialized high school kids. You know how they get down. They'll study during the weekday, and then like summer hits, and there's like, oh yeah. It's time to get wasted. It's time to get in it. You know what I'm saying? Get it in. It's time to get it in. You know what I'm saying? So around that time, all these kids are wasted, right? Alcohol at the party is usually done within the first 2 hours, right? So at this point, it's about the hour and a half in. So the kids are completely wasted over whatever substance that, of course, I legally do not know about. Whatever they're doing, they're just fucked up. So one dude is being creepy around the female bathrooms, right? So then the girl's boyfriend comes over because he keeps bothering this woman. So they start fighting. So I have to break it up because their boys also want to get into a fight. This party was big enough that I had gotten 2 other dudes to bounce with me. So we were chilling, right? And
But you didn't ever did a gig by yourself.
I didn't have to do that gig by myself.
Did you ever do a gig by
Oh
yourself?
yeah, of course.
You
What?
don't- that's you can't. The bouncing I've done off the books too. Have always been like a team. Like these are big places, you know.
So with the
go ahead, yeah.
So with the high school kids, like I started off small. So
Okay.
this is Airbnbs. This is the era where Airbnbs are first starting out. So the first couple of parties, of course, I can do by myself, right?
Well, there's small areas.
There's small area. It's one house. This is easy.
But even still,
some of these
you're by yourself. People do come in groups.
Yeah,
right? You were never
wasn't
scared about.
I was never scared. I was never scared. Like this was funny enough. This was the most dangerous scenario I've been in, and this was the only party I've ever done multiple bouncers. Every other one I've done by myself. I didn't care. That's why people want to hire me because it's cheaper to hire one person. But I'm like, I'm like, I don't care if it's multiple
you
kids.
Be a Captain America in the hood, man. Trying to
listen. I knew these kids. I went to school with them.
Right.
They were soft.
So you wasn't worried about anything. Like everyone kind of knew each other. Kind of.
It's that, but you gotta remember before bouncing, I worked overnight at my dad with the laundry.
Right. So
and honestly,
that's the element.
That situation is a lot more dangerous than bouncing sometimes.
Right. Yes.
Because you got the crackheads late at night, don't give a fuck. If you're at a 24-hour laundromat, they don't care. They're coming in your bathroom to get high, right? Yeah. I had to fight off like 2 dudes who had wanted to rob my pop once.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I smoked a dude in the leg with a bat. I don't care. So I don't care about a room full of high school kids.
Gotcha. So you had it rough. You had your training. So
I had my training already.
Definitely light work, but go ahead.
So this was light work, right? But this scenario, these dudes started fighting, right? So me and my dudes break it up. I like smoked this dude into a wall, right? I'm like, all right, you got to get out of here. You've been creepy the entire night. Her boyfriend and the dude want you out of here, and I've been watching you this entire time, and you've got to go. You're a problem. You and your boys, take your boy out of here. There's no more liquor anymore. Go. They do that. They come back towards the later of the night. Oh, we're trying to get everyone out now because I'm like, all right, it's time to go. There's no more drinks, no alcohol. Now it's just a room of hot, musty kids. Let's close this shit down. Yeah. It got even weirder because like some older dude had came around asking to come in. I'm like,
it's always one of those.
I'm like, bro, these are high school kids. You're not on the list. Go, please. Yeah. You're like, sure, I'll pay you $30 to get in so you could do creepy shit. Get the fuck out. Like no. Like this is not okay. Like you're a grown ass man. Go home. I'm like, all right, at that point, that's a sign from the Lord. It's time to shut the party down, right? The dudes come back and I guess one of them for some reason just have like a black Subaru, right? And like they pull up and one dude like pulls a gun out the back of his car.
Boy, fun times.
Yo, I'm like, well, I've already given the dude's cut of the money, the guy who did the party. Mm-hmm. I gave his cut of the money to him already because I was closing everyone up and getting everyone out. I see the dudes pull back up and I see the trunk open and I see that shit. I'm like, yo, it's time to get the fuck out. The bounce, me and my dudes, the other bouncers, they got a car. I'm like, yo, I got our money. We'll get the fuck out of here now and we'll split when we're later. Yeah. When I saw that shit and they were looking around for probably either for me or the guy's boyfriend that they were fighting with, I was like, nah, I'm getting the fuck out of here. That's it. That's my last time like bouncing off the books. That was some bullshit. I'm not getting shot because these motherfuckers got their ass whooped. They had to get out.
Oh, it's always what it is.
It's always what it is.
It's never, you don't have the hands.
Yeah,
you can't back up what you say. So
yeah, I was like, nah,
come back with the Thule.
I'm like, this ain't it. The money's good, but it's not worth my life. I have enough money. I could get me a security license now. It was also because I was still underage.
Of course. Yeah.
So I had to be 18 before I could get a security license. So that's why I was doing everything off the books. But I was like, all right, boom, I got my money. I'm about to be 18 in a couple of weeks. This money will last me until I could get my security license. That's it for me. I'm done. That was the last shit I bounced. Illegally. That was it.
They tried to hit you with the
Yo, they tried to. I was like, really? Y'all motherfuckers got told to go and came back with.
Yo, but you know what? That everything comes in the form of a sign, right? Something always tells you where it's time to move on, right?
Yeah.
And that was it for you.
That was it for me.
So that's the side not of video games that we know, of course.
Oh yeah. That's
not small part. I'm sure there's much more to you, and you're a complex individual. But I know that you've had a presence in like the local New York City gaming community for years. Like you're not years, enough time. Like
it was enough time.
You're not new to this. Like so when did that start for you?
So that started, funny enough, with Microsoft.
Okay.
It started with the release of a game called For Honor. right? And mind you, I never had time for gaming because parents were like strict on like the gaming.
You had a lot. You had to be a man early on.
Yeah, and then I had to be a man early on.
Yeah,
so this one, all right, I have a set schedule to work. Now I'm adult basically. So what I do with my free time, I'm like, damn, let me see how this gaming thing is going, right? And I pick up a game with my boys called For Honor. This is like it's in its 5th year now, but I was there from the beta, right? So I play the game and I just fall in love with it. I'm like, yo, I get to play a samurai. I get to like live out my fantasies in my head. And I get to kill people. This is fun. Like, yo, this is great. So I'm just playing the game. And I'm like trying to find more people to play online with. And I run into a thing where it says, "Oh, tournament for For Honor at the Microsoft Store." I'm like, I don't know. Let's see how a tournament goes. Like this is my first time ever doing a tournament.
So your first tournament, anything?
This is my first tournament, anything.
Yeah, okay.
Like I technically had one that I went with a friend. This was at Nebulous Gaming before they shut down. I was just there because I found my old GameCube controller, like my brother's older GameCube controller. I was like, let's try out Smash 64. That didn't go well because they were sweating and I had no idea what was going on. And I got bodied. So I don't even consider that one. But this was a game where I had played and I was consistent. I played with my friends. I was busting their ass. I was like, yo, I could get into this. Let's go. It's first tournament. Let's see how it goes. Right? The tournament started as a series of 2v2s. Right? And the tournament coincided with Microsoft trying to launch their own streaming service. Right. This was before it was called Mixer. It was called Beam.
Right, yeah.
So I was still on Beam before they even had Mixer and everything, and Microsoft was trying to build it up. So I kept doing those tournaments, and that's how people first kind of knew me, because I was one of the first people to ever appear on Microsoft's channel for Beam. And I was decent at the tournaments. There was a series of 2v2s. I would get like second or third. There was one team that got first for every single one of them. They were nasty. They were called Easy Street. And like I just kept losing those motherfuckers, and I still hold on to this day. But that's a future story. That'll come on later. That goes on even like into later stuff. So I kept doing that, right? And Microsoft liked the energy I was bringing because, like, you know, I've always been a hype man, right? I'm like, oh yeah, let's get woo. Y'all need someone to cheer in the crowd while the game is going. Let's go, woo. So Microsoft would like invite me to come through if they needed like people or bodies for things, and then that led on to me doing more stuff for Microsoft. At one point, they had like a Dance Revolution competition, and I don't dance, but they were like, Koustics, you're funny enough. Let's do it. We're gonna try to make like a production show thing. I was like, fine, because I love you guys. Fuck it, let's do this. We did that. And like there was even a period of time I streamed from the studios that they had on the 5th floor of the flagship store. Yeah,
I remember that studio. I've been there a couple times.
You've been there. You've done your thing there. So they had me streaming from there. I was like, nice. So I was actually one of the first accounts ever on Beam too. Like before they deleted the entire thing, I probably would have been one of the oldest accounts. Right. So I was just doing that for them, right? And then like I don't want to say like For Honor died, but it wasn't in a good period, right? So and then also
why was that? Was it a change in the game people didn't like? Was it the community?
So there was a problem, right? The community attracted a certain type of people, and they were, of course, there's always awkward gamers, right? But these people were kind of like. They were. Let's be honest. They were racist. They were racist.
Okay. Let's call it what it is.
We're gonna call a spade with a spade. All right, they were racist. Racist, like kids inside their parents, like fucking in their basement and shit. Yeah. And it was pretty bad. But then on top of that, the community had a bigger issue at hand. Not just because of that, right? But it was because of the fact that the game, the developers had a vision of the game that was meant for PC. Okay. Because PC gaming was, of course, on the rise at the time, and people were trying to get. The way they were balancing the game and making decisions were based on how PC people were enjoying the game. Okay. But the problem was the biggest community for the game, and the biggest community for a lot of the game still is on console, right? Now that the game's even more focused on PC now, but like at the beginning, it was tiring as a console player to constantly try to enjoy the game when they're adjusting it to people who aren't really carrying it. Like all.
Well, what kind of adjustment were they making that favorite PC game?
So the game was meant to run at 60 FPS. So a lot of the moves of the game were balanced around that because we didn't really count frames. We counted how moves worked in milliseconds. Right. So
which is kind of what we do in the fighting community.
That's what we do in fighting community, but we call it frames.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, we call it frames. But for me, I started calling moves in milliseconds.
Right.
So you had 300 millisecond moves that are easy to parry on PC because the game is meant to run on that, and you have and it's running at 60 FPS.
So the transition didn't help console players, but Microsoft seemed to focus on the least
Microsoft
populated subculture, right, which was the PC gamers.
So no, this is why I liked Microsoft. Microsoft was focusing on the game on like Xbox because you couldn't do PS4 in Microsoft Studio. They wouldn't let you. Right. So it was Xbox consoles. So everyone was fine because we were doing it on Xbox, and that's why I was playing it on Xbox. That's a lot of the people I knew in the community were from Xbox. I didn't know many of the PC community until much later in the game's lifetime. So we were fine with that because we had a community here in New York, which was like the highest density, and we were all playing on console, Xbox, and everything. But they were balancing it as if everyone was playing on PC. But it just wasn't working out for console players. I couldn't enjoy the game because like some things were legitimately weren't reactable on PS4 or Xbox.
Gotcha.
Right? But the game had a lot of traction. It was to the point this is what led me to get into fighting games because the game managed to snag a spot at Defend the North. I think it was either 2017, 2018 Defend the North. The game managed to snag a spot. It wasn't a main stage game, but it was there. So I ended up getting picked up by Team Initio, right? It's because I met them through Microsoft. It was really cool, right? So they took me to my first major, which was Defend the North, and all I ended up playing was For Honor. And I did really well. I got, I think, 4th. And I had like the longest running match of For Honor in the tournament because I played the slowest character and I was a turtle. That's how I originally played. Like I was an incredibly big turtle because my character was the slowest in the game, had the most punishable moves in the game. He was just slow. I was essentially playing a grappler, right? So I was doing that and I was just known for patient play. And I had and this guy was one of the best in the world at the game. And we just had a long running set that came down the clutch. And it was amazing. And I got approached by another team after that because they saw how well I did against all their players. They were like, wow, this guy is really good. And I was still young. I was like 18, 19. So I'm not that old at this point. I'm just like, I was hyped up. I was in there just hyped up off Red Bull and of tournament hype. And I was just there. I'm like, man, this feeling is amazing. This is adrenaline and just peak competition. I'm like, I love this feeling, right? So the guys approached me, and this team is called AGC. And I don't. Sometimes I think back at this and regret it, right? As one of my first moves in the fighting game community, so to speak, or just as a player. And I left the team I was with, and there's no bad blood between me. We still chill, and we still follow each other and everything. It's just I was the only one on that team playing For Honor, and this was a team that was almost centered around For Honor players. And I was like, man, this would be a much better environment for me, or there's so much more I could do.
I can understand that as someone that's ran a team now for almost a decade. If you don't get a lot of like-minded players on the team, they kind of feel alienated. It's tough. You have to have people that are in your team makeup that kind of play the same game. I feel, and that's not saying it doesn't work because there's definitely teams out there that have individual players that focus on games, but as a family they work together. Yeah, So, but I always feel like it's good to have at least one other player. Exactly. That you can say within the team's box hey what's up, how you do this, or let's talk about this, and so I understand that totally. You go from no one on your team that you can talk to about the game to a whole team of people that want to play. Yeah,
exactly. So. There was a whole it just seemed so good. I'm I have There was about 2 other people that played For Honor on that team, on the Initio team, but one played on PS4 and the other played on PC, so we never got to really play with each other, and they were more focused on other games like Overwatch, and like everyone in the group played Overwatch except me. So I'm like, damn, I'm just like, and then the team comes up offering, is like, yeah, you had full practice with like they were some of the best players in the game. And like it was like, oh, I could just play with them. Let's do this, right? So I ended up joining AGC, right? And it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. This is like the team. The team kind of felt like family. The team kind of felt like family. I knew some of the dudes. I was the only one from New York. The team was, I will admit, was heavily white. There was probably only other like 2 black people. I was one. So, but we still got along. Like they weren't. I would say like those people were good mannered. They were never racist to me. They were never bad to me.
That's good,
right? So that was fine, right? So we keep playing For Honor for a couple more seasons, right? And eventually, Microsoft has a big tournament for Honor, and it's a multi-week thing. And the AGC boys come in from other places because the leader or the owner of AGC puts them up, and we ram it because we're literally the top 4 of the 8 people that make it, right? And so that happens, and at that point everything is still going good, and I'm like, man, this is really good. Then one day, just like randomly, this shit is still mind boggles me how I was asleep for most of it. And I just wake up and like all the shit that I've been a part of like essentially disappears. So there's a big argument in the group of AGC. It's because the team has multiple owners, right? They're like co-leaders, but apparently they have like personal issues with each other and on the side and everything. And of course I'm in their Discord, and I just wake up one day, and like I wake up in the middle of the day off like just some random day, and the Discord, half the people are gone. There's just a bunch of beef. People were calling people out on like personal shit, like like I don't even want to say.
It's
like,
ugly, yeah.
It gets real ugly.
Sounds like something just exploded. Like
it just fucking explodes.
And how long were you on the team before that happened? Like,
I was on the team maybe for about like 4 months, 4 or 5.
So you probably just had no idea.
I had no idea
because that doesn't sound like just 4 months of.
That was not just 4 months. That was not just 4 months. That was not just 4 months.
Lots of bad things happening over time, and it just came to a head. Yeah. So that sucks.
So that I'm just like, damn, and like half the team leaves with one owner, and then half stays with them, and I'm just like. I don't know you guys enough to like really choose a side on this.
So, it's gonna
so I just stayed left. I'm just like,
smart man.
Yo, I was like, well, it's great working with you guys. No one's really attracted to me in this thing, but I'll stay cordial with you guys. But I'm gonna just help do my own thing, So a couple. This is about the year that Dragon Ball also comes out. So I'm like. I got attracted to fighting games because when I went to that major where I did For Honor, after I was finished playing For Honor, I looked at the other games on the main stage. I'm like, man, these guys had an even bigger crowd because For Honor was stuck in the basement, and it's just a room of us like neckbeards. It's just a room of neckbeards.
The neckbeard tournament.
It's a neckbeard tournament.
Can I enter?
I'll be honest. A For Honor was set up for neckbeards. They have a Viking class, a knight class, and a samurai class. I'm like. Those are like the three tiers of weeb right there, like or the 3 tiers of neckbeard. You guys are practically asking for us. And then I go upstairs to the main stage. I'm like, man, everyone's really cheering loud, enjoying themselves up there. And I'll be honest, some more black people up there too. So I'm like, yo, this look lit up here. What's going up here? And I see like Tekken. I see Injustice 2. I'm like, man, this looks really cool. Like, and I will admit, I'm a bit of a person that likes being the center of attention, or I like doing star type things, right? I never let my ego get that inflated, but man, I like it when the cameras are rolling and I could play the crowd, and like I like bringing hype, So I'm like, maybe I should try one of these games, like let's see how it is. So my first game I tried is Tekken, and this is before Fighters comes out. So I don't even know about fighters because this is my first jump into an actual fighting game. I've never played another fighting game before. Right.
So hold on. At this point, you've never touched a fighting game at all?
So a lot of people, because I study up when I wanted to become a commentator, which I'll get to in the future. I study up immediately because I don't like talking about things I don't know.
Right.
I don't like feeding people false information.
Okay.
I don't like being the dumbest person in the room.
Right.
Okay. I don't like that. So that's why a lot of people, because I have knowledge of other fighting games, that's why people assume I come from playing other fighting games. I've never played a fighting game before Dragon Ball FighterZ, right? Tekken is my closest.
Not even casually. You never touched it?
Casually, no. I even told you, as a kid, I was scared when my parents would give me first-person shooter games, actually. Like, I really didn't game.
Should I be playing this? I'm killing people.
So one of my favorite games now that I look back on it is Crysis 3. My parents just randomly got it for me on the PS3 when I had it. I was scared to play it. Like, I was a man in an exo-powered armor suit. I would hide during a lot of the first person. I would just hide my ass off most of the time. Like, I was just scared. Like, I was scared of that. I like third person games. Like, I like single player games, like everything. But I've never played a fighting game.
Let me tell you something. I feel you on like the first person thing, right? Something I found out recently. Remember Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah.
How popular that was, like really like Call of Duty. Even the first ones, all set in the 1910s, whatever. Those are all popular. When Modern Warfare 2 came out, it skyrocketed the whole franchise.
Definitely did.
So that was my foray into like Modern Warfare. I mean, Call of Duty. I was never a huge FPS like player. Like, I've had moments where I was interested, but never, of course, the whole time period really interested in FPSs, right? So I remember having Modern Warfare 2 and playing it, and I played the story mode, right? I found out. I don't know if you ever played Modern Warfare 2?
No.
Okay, so in Modern Warfare 2, for those that don't know, there's a scene that depicts violence, like.
Oh, no Russian.
The Russian. Okay, so you know about it.
I know.
And they actually give you an option whether if you want to play it or not.
Yes.
You can actually skip it, And I'm like, I'm an adult at this point,
Yeah.
How bad is a game? How bad? I play Mortal Kombat.
Yup.
I said, okay, whatever. I'm playing this scene, whatever, right? So you're basically, the game is over, so I don't care if you haven't seen it at this point. I'm going to spoil it. You're going through the airport, and you're undercover. Pretending to be one of the Russian, right? The Russian members. So the Russians were sent on a mission to go in there and just kill everyone in the airport.
Yep.
And when I say kill everyone, I'm talking about women and children.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so shocked at the situation. I didn't pull a trigger. Like, there was something so morally strong in me.
Yep.
That I was like, yo, this in there murking everybody.
Yo, they murked everyone.
And I felt like, I was shocked, And then, of course, it was a setup. They kill you. Because you play different people in the game. It was set up to kill you. You an American spy. You led the team. So now the world's at war with you because you as an American spy went to Russia and killed all these people. Yeah. Right. So that was them instigating the U.S. But
yeah.
But that whole situation made me question my morality. I mean, I know it's a game at the end of the day, but
but it's like what type of person are you that even as a game, like you could sit there and just mow people down,
or like
and enjoy it.
And then I find out I was judged for not shooting. Like I'm like, you guys are sick, man. you FPS guys are very sick, man. No, I wasn't going to shoot unarmed women or children in any setting, especially a video game, let alone real life. Like, come on. Like, I just something I don't think about doing. Like, I play Division 2, and I don't shoot the random stray dogs and birds that, like, they're not attacking me. Why am I shooting them, Yep. They're like deer that run away from you. There's a reason why they run away from you, because they're sitting there, killing each other off. So it's like, but yeah, so I understand the whole crisis and
so I at that point I wasn't built like that. Surprisingly enough, for what I was built for in the real world, I wasn't built for it in video games.
Right. Exactly.
So I try out Tekken, right, and like I get a rudimentary understanding of the game. Some people say I picked it up pretty quickly. I had a decent. I even had like some decent matches, right? Because another KPB member, Nay, Nay. Funny enough, I first met May during a Tekken tournament at Microsoft. right? My first match, I fight Shroups and I beat Shroups, and then I end up playing Nay. And because this is a tournament, they had me go for right. They had me fight Nay on another setup immediately, but of course I'm not a fighting game player. So one of the first things that you should know, and this is a tip to all you fighting game players, check your buttons before you sit down and play a match.
Yes.
That is the first thing you should be doing. Button checking. I don't check my buttons against Nay at all. Right. So I go against him and I lose. Right. I'm like, oh damn, I get sent to losers, right? And it's a real small tourney. It's like an 8-man bracket. So then for some reason I also end up playing Dancer at one point.
Shout out to Maurice, that's the homie.
Yo, shout out to Maurice, you know me. So Dancer, I play him. I go 2-1, which isn't too bad, right? Like people are like, well, when did you pick up the game? I'm like, well, I picked up the game about 2 months ago. So like that's the height. That was the height of my thing. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, everything seems simple enough, right? Like I just thought of like instead of thinking of milliseconds how I used to do in For Honor and punishes, because For Honor essentially had the thing where there was frames, you punished, you had to know how to whiff punish, you had to know what was punishable on block, what was punishable on bury. So all of that was able to translate.
That was so when the game was popular for Honor, excuse me.
Yeah.
There was a lot of FTC players that played it at least casually, and then could they compare it to like a fighting game with frames and stuff, you know, block stun, hit stun, etc. Exactly. And so it was very comparable, just in a 3D, you know, environment instead of the 2D that they're used to. So I'm sure as much as it was an easy transition for them to start playing that game, it was for you the other way around. Yeah, and understanding, you know, frame data, except it's in a 2D plane now. Exactly. Or Tekken, which is still 3D in a sense. So 2D, 3D.
So I did that, right? I was like, this isn't too bad. I could get into used to this, but I like, man, I'm gonna need to practice this a lot more because like these people have been playing this game for years, and if I wanna get nice at this game, I'm gonna have to catch up. So I kept doing Tekken, and then like Dragon Ball FighterZ gets released. This game wasn't even on my radar, funny enough. I'm like, it's a Dragon Ball game. I don't mess with Xenoverse or anything.
Are you a Dragon Ball fan, or were you before that?
I was a Dragon Ball fan. I still am, right? But I've never really too fond of the games after Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Because I had played Ultimate Battle on the Xbox 360, and it was a really bad fighter. Like, it was really hollow. Everything was a rock, paper, scissors.
So you played some sort of fighting game before then?
Yeah, I
wasn't really immersed at all into
I wasn't immersed at all. Like I like the closest mine origin was Budokai Tenkaichi 3, but I've never played anyone else in that game. I've only played the story at home.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's like that's not really it. So I've done that, right? The other thing was I didn't have the next gen consoles yet. I still only had my PS3 and my Xbox 360. I had the Xbox One. But the only game I had on it was For Honor. Right. Okay. But I had dropped it. I bought Tekken. I was like, okay, just Tekken. Let's do this. Because when I focus on something, I like to focus single-mindedly. I've gotten better at like multitasking now. But I used to like, all right, it's just Tekken. Fuck everything.
That's all I'm doing right now.
That's all I'm doing right now, right? So I was doing Tekken, and then Microsoft invites me because they need numbers. They're like, yo, Koustics, we like your energy. Come up for Dragon Ball FighterZ. We're doing a nice little invitational, right? So this invitational, this is how much I didn't know about the fighting game community. The people at this invitational are Flux, Random Fiend, Necro Undyne, Grover, Yipes was there because Yipes even did commentary for them because it ran for a couple weeks, and even I forgot her name. Yipes' ex-girl, Persia. Okay. So it was all of them were there, and like I don't know any of them, so I'm like, man, this game seems simple enough. I'm gonna try it out, and I fell in love with the game, right? And I was losing to them, right? But I didn't know who they were. And a lot of players, when they lose to people and they don't know it, they like to blame the game or the people they're playing, and they compartmentalize. And they were like, well, I lost because this dude is random. He's whack. Like, lucky I don't practice the game because then I'd smoke them.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah. But imagine,
which still sounds like you to this day, kind of. So
it still sounds like me. It's just a little bit. But imagine you pull up in a room with Flux, and then you think to yourself, if you knew who Flux was, you wouldn't say to yourself, well, Flux is just whack, and he's lucky I don't practice the game.
Well, it's interesting the people that they picked, right? Because the game was new at the time. Right?
Yes.
They picked. There was two.
Chavo was there too.
Okay, so they picked what it seems like they picked people that were either involved in Marvel,
yes,
which is how the game kind of felt with the whole tag battle 3-on-3. They also picked people who were involved in the anime fighters.
Yes, they also picked Light from Smash Bros.
Okay, that's a random pick. I think that's like when you do control an experiment. Yeah, because that Smash has nothing to do with that game.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and then what it turns out, as we'll get into at some point.
Mm-hmm.
None of these players are in what the current meta in the game. None of these players and personalities are involved in what the game is today.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
so we'll get back into that. It was an interesting thought I just noticed. So, but go ahead. Sorry.
Right. So I was like, I don't like losing no matter what game. Like you'll see me like now. I learn a lot more fighters. And
who likes losing?
No one likes losing, but I really don't like losing. It's to the point like I'll remember a loss even if it's like in a random casual match to someone, even if it's in a game I don't play. I'm like, I'm gonna get nice enough at this game just to beat you, and then I'll leave it alone or something like that, right? And that's one of the reasons why now I think it helped my commentary and even helped my gameplay because it's like. Taking a lot of information from other fighting games and like bringing it into my repertoire of knowledge, like that's what's helped me evolve as both like a player and a commentator. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to lose to these guys and fighters again. Let me pick up fighters, right? So I pick up fighters because I like Dragon Ball. I love the villains in Dragon Ball too. I'm like, I hate the protagonist. Goku's stupid. I like seeing people step on Goku. Cause that's my shit. That's my shit. I'm like Goku's stupid. And I hate him. I hate stupid protagonists. I hate him. So
he's pretty dumb.
He is pretty dumb.
It's annoying how the story of Dragon Ball has always revolved around him and literally has bailed him out of everything.
It has absolutely.
He has to be the lowest IQ protagonist in all of protagonism.
Absolutely. And I hated it. And that's why I always picked villain characters in Dragon Ball FighterZ. You actually look at my team. My first team was Cell, Goku Black, Android 16. Some people say 16 isn't really a villain. But I was like, his original mission was to kill Goku, so he's on the team. Right. So, played that team. That team was really strong for the first season, right? I was okay at the game at the beginning, right? I was nothing too special. Over time, I was still stuck at low level. Like, I could cheat certain people out, but I'll admit now, compared to what I do now, like, I knew almost nothing about the game, right? I was just acting off instinct. It was also because everyone was playing on PS4, because Tournament Standard had switched over to PS4. Right. So I was like, damn, I only have Xbox One, right? And I didn't really even have a Brook adapter. Sometimes I got lucky, and at tournaments, people would let me use their Brook adapter because they had one. I didn't even know what adapter was until they like. I was like, damn, I gotta play on a PS4 remote. It's like, no, you can play on the Xbox. You got a Brook adapter. I don't have a Brook adapter. Use mine. Let's try it. I was like, oh shit, it's lit. Xbox One on the PS4. Let's go, baby. But over time, I was like, I'm not feeling Xbox too much. And my Xbox One had even broken at one point. So I was like, damn. How the hell am I supposed to practice fighters? I was like, I really like the game. So you know what? I'll just keep playing. And I like the FGC enough that I just want to be there and be loud. I just want to be there and be loud. I wasn't too focused on being a top player yet, right? I was still just going through the motions. I was like, man, I was what they call a pot monster. It's like, it's like Koustics is here. Oh, we get extra to the pot. That's it. that was what Koustics used to be. Right. And So I just did that. I ran through the motions with fighters, right? I ran through it even through season 1 to 2. But I got better towards season 2. I had some upset matches and everything. And it was good. And people were like, oh, Koustics coming to the stream? Oh, you know he about to be ratchet during this match. Like, there's a match of me versus another player, and like I eat chicken in the middle of the match in the set. Yes, I win the match too. I eat chicken on the middle of the set. I have a pop off on Prodigy that's absolutely hilarious. I'm like, no one's gonna call me whack ever again. And I look at Prodigy like, oh, but you ain't say it though. But I was talking to other people. I think like one of the funniest ones is, Smooth Viper, right? Yes. So Smooth Viper also loves to talk shit like I do. So we used to just go back and forth at the house.
He has an history. But
Yo, we're not gonna get
to that.
Right. So at the tournament, right, he thought Bum. This is at a House of Chaos before COVID, right? We're doing the match during season 2, and Bum puts the names backwards on the thing. So Viper thinks I'm losing. He thinks I'm losing the match.
I think I've seen this clip.
You probably seen this clip. He's like, you paid $16 to come to this tournament and get washed up. You whack ass motherfucker. So then I'm like, what's he talking to? Because Viper, I'm not losing this time. And Bum's like, oh, I got things passed around. He's like, wait, what? Come on. I'm just like, yeah. And then it's just going great. Like, I'm enjoying Fighter Season 2. I'm getting better at the game slowly but surely. My progress isn't fast though, right? I'm still working security. I go to another local from a video game cafe. This is one of the other people I've met in my life. Shout outs to Gino, the owner of Waypoint Cafe, Cinder, Shay, everyone there. You guys are like amazing, right? So I go to the cafe and I just started playing there because they have PS4 setups. And me and the owner are chill, and me and the other baristas and baristas that work there are chill. Like, we're all friends. So I just go there. They introduce me to other fighting games because Cinder introduces me to Blaze Blue Central Fiction, and he introduces me to Under Night, right? And at that point, I'm still kind of learning Tekken, but now I've kind of like flipped off and I switched to fighters. But I still have the common knowledge that when we play at the video game cafe, there are people who will come in, they just want to chill, they just want to play games. I usually beat them, right? Mm-hmm. So it's just like, yeah, we having fun. I'm learning other fighting games. And at that time, I'm like, what do I do now? Because I feel myself plateauing in one game, right? And I like talking a lot, right? So I'm like, I wonder how commentary would be. Because I see people do commentary, right? I like listening to like Yipes and Matrix, because those were the ones that were like doing the main commentary for Dragon Ball around season 1. I'm like, I wonder, like, is there a way for me to get into this mix? Like, this seems fun. I'd like to talk to people, you know what I'm saying? And it was rough.
Would you cite those two as like kind of like people that influenced you?
They're definitely my influence. Definitely my influence. Like Yipes and Matrix are probably like the main reasons I like to get into commentary. And then when I started going to your tournaments at Chinatown Beatdown and everything, Afro was another one because he showed me another side to commentary. I was like, this is a slow, methodical approach to commentary that's like very intelligent. I'm like, I like this too. Like, I like being loud. But man, he gives off this aura of like he knows his shit. So you have your commentary like influences from both sides. You got the analytical from Afro Dynamic, color and code
and
man.
Others, and then you're the color man. You could bring the comedy, the humor, the hype. You could do it all.
Yeah.
So I guess that makes you like kind of like a valuable asset in this situation where you can play on both sides depending on what you need to do.
Yes, would have been a valuable asset if anyone had let me touch the mic.
Right.
There was a period of time, like, there's a period of time where no one would allow me at a mic in the FGC. I understand it's also a clout thing at the time. Who the hell is Koustics? This motherfucker coming in?
Right. It's kind of a popularity contest.
Yeah, it's a little bit of popularity contest. We'll be honest.
Yeah, for me, looking on the outside, and I definitely have observed you before I got to know you.
Yeah.
You're a very loud individual. Very, but that's okay because you also have, you have the gift of gab. Mm-hmm. People enjoy your company and talking to you. That's always, key item. So I never saw you as someone that was dangerous.
Yeah.
Like I've observed people in the community for many years now, and I know simply because how, and this really doesn't hold no bearing. But sometimes if you analyze how people talk naturally, like there's some people that can't go 2 seconds without saying a curse word.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I curse every day. I curse every day for some reason. Well, and as a kid who didn't curse until high school, because that's how much of a good kid I was, it kind of bothers me that I can't get through a day without saying a curse word, because that's just life. And then as an adult, life sucks, so you F this, F that. Like so observing you, I saw that you can just have people gravitate to you and people will come to you, and if you can do that you can do that with just your voice. You can do that anywhere your voice can be heard, right? So I'm sure that would have been the natural progression. And I remember you asking me to be in concert. That's fine, like it was because I know what it's like.
Yeah,
I know what it's like. One of the stories I love to tell is how we met Dre from Biblioteki.
Mm-hmm.
Biblioteki is one of the prominent FGC streamers and black streamers in the gaming community. Here in Brooklyn, New York. And when we started KPB back in 2011, there used to be this gaming shop called 8-Bit. They're still around, but they just moved somewhere else in the city. But at the time, we did a lot of tournaments. So one of our first tournaments as a group outing, we went to the Mortal Kombat tournament, and Biblioteki was streaming. And the first time I met Biblioteki, I never really heard of him up until that point, but the first time I met him, I knew there were streamers. Like, there was really not a lot of streamers in FTC at the time. It was mainly Spooky, kind of like, you know, what was like kind of the forefather of like FTC streaming. Yeah. And you know, I met Biblioteki, and he led us on the mic. This is my first time. I'm like, I had no business analyzing. It was more like, ooh, he got So, but it was just a chill situation, and he gave us the opportunity, you know, just to be on the stream, you know. Exactly. And then even with such a little ragtag group that we had, you know, it's like, oh yeah, I saw you on so and so stream, you know, and then that kind of picks up the thing, you know, and it's like, I ended up doing my fair share of commentary over the time, you know. So definitely, and because of that, I always remember that situation all the time, and I try to pay it forward. So I see people like you, who like at the time, maybe because nobody knows you enough and not gonna let you on. Yeah, I'm like, that's not a reason. You know, who are you trying to impress? You know, if you have to lay down some ground rules, okay, don't curse too much. Don't curse.
Don't say that in the word. You know. I'll get into that after you finish.
You know, and then just let them be, and then see where it goes. And you know, and this is not to pat ourselves in the back, but I've had a lot of people cite us and say, "Yo, you let me on your mic, and now I'm doing this." Yeah, you know, that's so true. People like, you know, Aru from the KF community. You know, he's always said that. Like when we met him, he was just a player, and then getting to know the community. In the New York community, he transitioned to a commentator over time, and has ended up doing commentary for Evo. Yeah, and that's a short amount of time. That's like 2 years. Some people have been waiting their whole lives to do commentary Evo and can't make it for one reason or another, which I won't get into. But you know, but yeah, so definitely, like we saw you, and it's like, yeah, let the man speak. You know, I cringed. You're very loud. You know. I think you might, you know, destroy my mixer. Or something, but
I was peaking every mic I was on.
Yeah, no, we had quality. We wasn't peaking on something. We had a mixer. We were good. Yeah, we wasn't messing around. But go ahead.
Yeah. So at that time, I was like, damn, I don't have enough clout to get in this commentary thing. What can I do, right? So I would like go over to other tournaments. Even I was like backseat commentating matches. I was fine with that for a while. But I was like, damn, let me get on the mic, man. Let me spit my 16 bars. You know, so I have to thank them. They're the cafe. Well, so don't get it confused. There's Waypoint Cafe, but there was a Waypoint Gaming Center in Long Island.
And they're two different ones?
They're two different ones.
Okay, wow. Okay.
They're two different ones. Okay. And I have to thank the owner there. I definitely hope he sees this video. But he was one of the first people to let me on the mic, even before you guys, right? And he's the one that taught me how to contain myself on the mic. He was
I think you should contain yourself. I think we're peaking now with your voice. You got bring it down. We're not at an event.
So he told me about how to like control myself on the mic as well too, because he's like, all right, bro, we're kind of trying to keep it esports here, so you can't drop the N-word on the thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? Don't curse too much. We're not gonna restrain you because I know how you do. I know you like to be in the hype. So I did that for a while. I always used to go there. That's where I also got better in Dragon Ball FighterZ. That's where I met a mini assassin, Childish Vegito, and like we're still good friends to this day. Like I met Luciano, the Lamore brothers. That's how I met them.
Shout out to the Lamore brothers.
Yo, the Lamore brothers are great. I love those
awesome
two.
Guys.
Yeah. Awesome. So that's how I met them. I met them in like Long Island, and I met them at Chinatown Beatdown. So I did commentary there, right? I did commentary there, and then I approached you guys. I'm like, would you guys ever be willing to let me do commentary? And of course, you guys were so gracious to actually let me do it, right? And I was like, man, this is great. And then I also, this is also another shout outs to House and the guys at iFix Machines, because they let me do commentary for Tekken there. And that's funny enough how like a few Tekken people know me, because I was the guy that would add to pot, and I was like, I'm around start Dragon Tail with martial law. They're like, that's a terrible choice of move. Really? Yes, it is, but I'm still gonna do it. That's even how I met Tanisha there, like because she was at iFace Machine. So funny enough, like I met a lot of you guys separately before I even
That's
got
how
to
this
the team.
works.
That's how I got. That's how.
We were in the same places. So
Yep.
we worked Defender North every year,
Mm-hmm.
except maybe the second year, I think.
Yep.
So we were there when you were playing. I knew that you had a small room downstairs.
Yep.
But we were. I think we were downstairs in the small room. I think that year too. I think we were in opposite room. I think doing Marvel. So we were.
Wow.
We had the biggest room and downstairs in the basement. I think we were doing like some. I think we did MK and Marvel that year. Or something. Very quiet year.
Yeah, it was quiet. Yeah, it was quiet year.
But so that's one thing you'll learn in this community, that it's huge,
you'll run into everyone sooner or later. It's really small.
It's huge, but it's small, and like sooner or later you make friends with people that you've seen about 1,000 times already. Whether it's in the game or just from seeing each other all the time. It's how close the community, yet how big the community is at the same time. So always a beautiful thing.
It was a beautiful thing. So after that, I got like my commentary chops. I was kind of still learning, right? Time goes by, and this is mid-season 2 of Dragon Ball. I started a thing, right? Because at Waypoint Cafe, this is one that's separate from the esports arena, they held a tournament there. And funny enough, this is also why I get the name for my thing, because it's called Square Button Massacre. It was a tournament there, and I got second place. And second place got this bad boy. They got it out. This L is pretty old, actually. Like this L has been with me for a minute now. So
you were actually always holding the L.
I always hold on. I keep it with me. Funny enough, I keep it as a reminder of like where I started.
Okay.
And that I'm always striving to be the best.
Okay.
And until I be the best, I gotta hold out. You gotta hold out until you're the best, right?
You gotta hold the L until you get the W.
Until you get the W, I gotta hold out. Like this L literally stays in my book bag with me. A lot of people like, you really just keep it. I keep it with me at all times because I have to. It's a reminder, and also it's a really funny gag prop.
Right, yeah.
It's hilarious. So I do that, right? And Dragon Ball was suffering for a bit during season 2 because
why was that? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I'll answer that for you right now. Right? So we were suffering with the fact that people had discovered fuzzies in the game towards the beginning of season 2, and because of how meter gain in the game worked, you didn't lose meter when you used it. Still at this point, there wasn't really a meter penalty, and there wasn't an assist penalty during block strings, and there was this thing called snap, and snap was auto timed because you always appeared in the same place of where they snapped at the same time. You couldn't control the time you snapped and everything. Right. So people figured out.
Before you get to you, can you explain to people who don't know what fuzzy is or what a
fuzzy is? So fuzzy is when a character can hit you with an overhead on the frame where you're trying to crouch block. So in fighters, what would happen was when people would snap you, and so just to give you like an idea of how fuzzy'd work, you would come out, right, and you'd still be in the air. And in fighters and a lot of anime games, when people are blocking in neutral, they like to block low, right?
It's their favorite position.
It's their favorite position. Yeah. The problem in the game was the game would register that when you block low, you were still standing for a period of time before you went low in fighters. So people could do an additional overhead and you had to get hit by it. And it was a 50-50 because if you messed up and crouch blocked too soon, you would get hit with the fuzzy. And then if you blocked the fuzzy, you still got jailed afterwards. And then people had their assists, so then you got mixed. And then there was it was so bad. It was so bad. Terrible, it was terrible. And then some characters had mix-ups that were like you actually couldn't see. This is, again, one of the nerfs they had to do in season 3. You couldn't see certain characters' moves because they would make explosions during setups.
And they were masking.
And they were masking the move. So you couldn't see. Like, that's, like, you actually couldn't see the mix-up. And, like, then because there wasn't meter penalty, they would either use a meter for the mix-up, get that same meter back, snap you, force your character to guess on the 50-50, then swap you in again, and just keep doing that. And in fighters, that was terrible. And you couldn't play any character that was bigger than Cell. Because if you played any of the characters bigger than Cell, they held an extra jump on the fuzzy, right? Like they got fuzzied by everyone, right? Small characters, little bastards, didn't get the extra fuzzy. The only person that could do that to them was Piccolo.
Right.
So it was really bad because everyone essentially ran like the same 2 characters. for the entire season, and it was just snap meta, snap meta, snap meta, and like you had to keep guessing on block. Like it didn't matter if you were good at defending because like you were throwing a die, like you weren't defending. So people had a problem with that, and they're like, man, this game is in a real bad position because everyone's doing the same thing over and over. And people were like, well, Fighters is dying, right? And I was like, damn, I really hope Fighters don't die. Like, what can I do, right? And they said, well, we're gonna work on this was the worst part about it, right? It was a year of no patch. They said, oh, yeah, we're not patching the game for this entire season, which lasted almost a year.
And probably it's because they had a whole thing invested in
season 3.
Right. Well, also that had the Post War started that year, right?
Yes.
So and that's the thing. Like it's
there was so many
from a business
happening.
standpoint, you can't start a Pro Tour and then like because Capcom I think does this, or they kind of almost do it.
They almost do it.
They change the game considerably in the middle of the tour.
Yeah. And
I'm like, okay, like that's kind of like. I don't agree with that too much. And if that was now Bamco's stance, I understand it. But it was such a horrible time, I guess. So I do remember towards the end of season 2, people really hating the game.
That was the thing that was kind of keeping people in. They were kind of say, we'll see how the World Championship goes before we decide to jump ship.
Right.
World Champion happens, right? Season 3 is getting announced at the end of the World Championship. Feel like, oh, season 3, let's see what they do. Everyone's like, they better do something crazy, or else I'm gonna leave Fighters. I'm going for Fighters. This game is dying, right? Season 3 happens, and is
that when they do the assist change? No.
That's when they do the assist change.
Okay.
They do the meter penalty changes. They do the snap changes. They change things defensively, and like the game to this day, I tell people season 3 Fighters is still the best season of Fighters, hands down. If you like season 2, that's because you ran a one-brained offense and you were happy winning, and you should just admit that. You shouldn't say, "Well, the game was better," because it wasn't better. You just had an easier plan of winning. Right. Like it was easier. It was easier to win season 2. It's much harder now. That's why you see people get smoked random because boom, you explode, and it's fun. All right. Now the messed up thing is we had gotten whispers of COVID before season 3, because season 3 we only had a week before everything went into shutdown because of COVID. So there was one tournament of House of Chaos before everyone had to go into lockdown. People were like, COVID, that people were kind of taking serious, right? And like, because there wasn't that many deaths at the time, right? So people were like, well, it was like, no, we're going into immediate shutdown right now. So people were like, damn. And then that's when like people had to do net play, right? And then that's where I was screwed, because at this time I still didn't have a PS4. Right. I had an account and everything because I would go to tournaments, and I'm like, well, people still need an account to do stuff, and not all small places have DLC. So whenever I get a game, I always get all the DLC. So even if anything happens at a tournament, I'm like, oh yeah, just use mine or whatever, something like that. So I had that, but I had no PS4. I didn't have internet in my home. I was like barely just making right. So it was like, nah, all right, I'm kind of screwed right here, you know. So I ended up getting lucky. This is like the biggest breakthrough for me is I hit a bump, and I asked Bum, like, yo, Bum, I don't have a PS4. I don't have internet, so I can't enter your online, because Bum decides immediately, okay, so, well, not immediately, but a couple weeks after, he's like, I'll do online tournaments for Dragon Ball, right? And no one ever had these arguments about netcode in the game, because everyone's happily playing locals. That's why I cherish what you love. Support your locals when they come back, right? Because now you see how it is when you're just stuck always online. So Bum does that, and I asked Bum, can I come to your crib and play from your crib online? And he's like, he gets back to me. He's like, you know what? Fuck it, let's go. Before this time, Bum had known me because I always came to the House of Chaos. I was loud, right? But other than that, Bum didn't know me that much. Like, it still wasn't, he would let me on the mic. He lets me in to do the tournament that day, right? I'm just joking in the background. And I asked Bum, yo, Bum, let me do commentary for this match, right? And that clip actually went viral, because there's a clip where I just started doing like an Australian accent, because it's like everyone's just dying in there. I'm like, he's a wall masher. He's mashing in the wall and he's trying to get him with a punish, but he's too quick for me. Can't get him with his Zoki. He's like, I'm just like, it's just cracking up. Everyone's cracking up. I
can see Bun's face. You know,
right? And people are like, yo, who is this? This shit is funny. Yo, bring him back. And Bum was like, all right, so we'll bring him back. We'll let him keep doing commentary. And from there, that's how people start knowing me. Like before, like COVID, and it was a curse for many people because like it fucked things up. But like in some ways, it also it helped me the most because like that's how people knew me from the online tournaments. Like, and I'm also sad because of how much COVID has taken from people. Like even took one of my aunts in Long Island. Right. But it's like at the same time, like I don't know how things would have gone without the lockdown. But like because of lockdown, I got like the opportunity of a lifetime because there was only so many platforms that immediately adjusted to dealing with only doing things online. Right. So when that happened, I had a following of about 430 people on my Twitter beforehand. So now, as of right now, I am at 2,700 and something.
You're about to be verified.
Yeah, I might get randomly. I hope I get randomly verified. And I'm just like, wow, like, cause from there, everyone had been watching the HOC because it was the only one that was still doing Dragon Ball, right? Besides Spooky, but you know, people mainly like Spooky for Street Fighter, and HOC, like people like Ratchet. Let's be honest. People love Ratchet. Mm. Sometimes people like to see people get to the nitty gritty. Right. You know what I'm saying? You know,
sometimes so there's a market for it.
There's a market for it, right? So through that, I'm able to get my following, and people start noticing my commentary. Mm-hmm. I'm like, they're like, yo, this guy's funny, and I start studying up on Dragon Ball even more to the extent I wasn't before. Like I was playing the game, I was just shitting around. I was like, you know what? Let me really put my mind to this thing and everything. So I'm playing Dragon Ball, actually trying to learn the game, studying up to do commentary, and then like the opportunity of a lifetime comes. Bum messages me like in the middle of the night. He's like, yo, Koustics, we have to be on our A game for the next couple of weeks. I'm like, why? He's like, I'm only going to tell you and Posey, because me, him, and Posey were kind of like we were swapping through commentary at the house at the time. He's like, got like a message from Damascus, because season 3, Damascus and Tyrant, who are also great people, check out their stuff. Like, that's why I thank them so much. They paid attention to the community, like just beyond the borders of the EU, because they didn't have to. They could have just made sure EU 8, UK 8, and like everyone in Europe 8, and they could have said, man, fuck everybody else. We don't have to worry about it. They made Tyrant and Damascus like creative directors of how they wanted to do Dragon Ball in the middle of this pandemic. And they hit a Bum. They were like, yo, we're looking at the people from the HOC. Bum recommend us some people for commentary. We're trying to get something going, and this is before the World Championships. So I make sure my commentary is on point for the next couple of weeks, and I try to give up even higher levels of it. And then like that's when Damascus hits me up, and I'm like, he's like, hey, Koustics, what's your Discord and your email? He's like, Bandai might be interested in knowing those. I'm like, what? Yo, I'm in my house like, I'm like, but I'm gonna keep my mouth shut because I know how these type of things go. You got to keep a sense of discretion, right? And it was like, I was like, oh my god, this is really gonna happen, because I know people still considered me a joke in the community. They're like, Koustics still garbage, Koustics still whack. He just dared to be loud and ratchet, right? Mm. There was even people who had said in their streams, they were like, this motherfucker is just doing fun. He's just doing ratchet shit at the House of Chaos. And then when majors are gonna come back, he's gonna get laughed at when he tries to ask to do commentary at places, but he won't be able to do it. He's like,
but little do they know that at this point you don't have to ask anymore.
Yeah,
they're gonna come to you.
Exactly,
they're gonna see the work that you put in. You know, and we talked about it before you went on air, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, we jokingly, we were like, I'm like, I asked you, you know, you have haters and whatnot, and you said no, and then you thought about it and like, yeah, I got a couple haters. And I said, when you initially said no, I said, that's not a good thing. You got to have haters, because if you don't have haters, that means no one cares about what you're doing. Yeah. And that you're not doing enough, right? So when you have haters in this lifetime, you're on to something. Yep. You're doing something. And here we are today. People hating.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a new thing for you now? Something you're getting adjusted to, or
you
brush it off your shoulders?
It's odd because like I never really cared what people say. I always say like I don't bother what people say. I gotta keep doing me. I'm a shark. I move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I don't live unless I'm moving forward.
Right.
So I didn't really care about. But then like it was interesting to me. Like the more I grew, there was more people that like had my name in their mouth, even in conversations where I wasn't there for. And then people would come. Yeah, I was like, why are people talking about me? There's nothing to talk about. I just do commentary, yell. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes I drop facts. Like that's it. And I'm like, well, some people say you don't deserve the position. Blah blah blah. I'm like, damn. Like there are people who don't know the grind that I do. Right.
Of course, they never know the behind the story. They just see the end product, right? And figure that you were just placed there. You never earned your spot.
Exactly.
And they say, well, real gangsters move in silence, right? You know what I'm saying? And you did what you needed to do.
Exactly.
Without telling the world,
I didn't tell. Funny enough, like I think the only people I told you were you and like Rage and our people in our private KPB Discord. Like I didn't even tell my own pops about it until it was confirmed and they already released it. Like I was really tight-lipped about a lot of stuff, and that's why people were surprised to see my name as one of the commentators when it finally came down to this thing. And they were like, Koustics international champion? I said, yeah. Like, unlike, like, people may laugh at it, but, like, I love the game a lot more than a lot of people, and I was willing to put the work in to, like, kind of learn the game and provide interesting and funny commentary to people. Because, like, people think commentary is easy, but not everyone can do commentary. And that's why I have a lot of respect for commentary.
People cannot do commentary.
Everyone cannot do commentary.
People cannot understand that they can't do commentary, and that it's much more than just screaming on a microphone.
Yeah, I'll let people know, like, one of the funniest things, like, commentary is like part entertainment, part analysis, and like you have to be able. Great commentators are able to merge both of those when the time comes, or switch to one or the other entirely. Right. And like some people are like, well, my friends say I'm funny. I'm like, you could repeat one joke with your friends. That's fine. That makes you funny amongst your friends. But that doesn't work on commentary. Right. You got to keep improvising something new or funny to people.
And fresh.
It's got to be fresh. Because people on Twitch, they'll eat you up alive. Yeah. Them motherfuckers in the comments, them motherfuckers on Twitch, them motherfuckers who go 0-2, like they'll eat you up alive.
The whole monsters that never come out to
events, what?
Have the most to say.
They have the most to say, and they don't have anything to add, but they have the most to say. And those people eat you up alive. So it's funny because like I went from like practically not having people speak about my name to like now I'll go on random like YouTube comments and I'm like, damn, they said this about me. And I just keep it moving. I'm like, damn, like people will say your name the larger you get. Like your name just pops up now. Right. Like and trust me, a lot of the shit they have to say is not nice. Sometimes I run into the very good comments and I'm happy. And I'm like, yeah. They're like, yo. Then you'll run into comments like, yo, can someone put a muzzle on this nigga Koustics or something? I'm like, no, they can't.
How do people who are in your life, who are close to you, that aren't involved in like fighting games, when they hear about you doing stuff like this, like what's their reaction? What do they think about it?
So my dad is kind of like iffy on it because right now, like, of course, I get paid because I work for Bandai Namco and they pay decent money. So my dad is like, he's like, it's just games, but I guess if they're giving you money, right? It's like, okay, Dad, whatever, man.
Yeah, it's an old school mentality.
That's an old school thing. I'm like,
are you like you have older parents, like significant older parents, like age gap?
It's pretty significant. It's like over 30 years because my mom had me like really old when she was like 30 something. So my dad is 59 and I'm only 21.
Okay, yeah, so it's an age.
So it's an age gap, and it's like
it's almost like 40 years, right?
Yeah, so it's like he's really iffy on the games, but I'm like it's showing something, and like a lot of people said like, you could really get into it. And I'm like, I really love it, so I'm trying my best to get into it. I know for some people like it's really hard to transfer into like full time either streaming or content creation. Like that takes a lot of work and dedication. So I'm like, all right, I know what I have to work on my craft, and I'm gonna try my best to be the best at what I do, right? Regardless of what people say about me or what they thought about Koustics on commentary or Koustics as a player. Like I already know I'm punching from below, and
Right.
and for a while I'll keep punching from below,
Mm.
and I don't mind. I love being the underdog in a fight. I love when people think they're just gonna beat me. It's gonna be a free match because that's free money for me. If you want to get down, y'all know how I do, and I just love it. I'm like. So like I've continued to work with Bandai. Like I have to thank Abu and everyone there, Abu, Asenka, Damascus, Tyrant, everyone, Prospere, because like they just hit me up for Battle Hour that like before this recording that we did today, and I'm just like wow, I really have to thank you guys for the opportunity because I was just another kid like on paper I'm just another kid that dropped out early and went right into like menial labor. Right. But like there's a lot of story behind it. But like on paper, that's how people think it is.
Right.
Right. So I was happy to give in the chances that I had. Like between you guys, to KPB, like you guys took me in like family, practically. And I always have to thank you guys for that.
Never.
Yeah.
Never do that.
Yeah. No.
Just
I will.
I will keep being who you are. That's all we ask.
I'll always thank you guys.
From all of our members, we just we ask you guys. We don't ask you guys for anything. We don't.
Yeah.
Like just be you. Be the person that attracted us to you, you know, stuff like that, and never change. Never ask people to change, at all, So definitely moving forward. I want to envision a world where we hopefully get back to what we used to do.
Yeah.
Not going back, because I don't like that term anymore. I don't want to go back.
We definitely got to move on to better.
We got to move on. We got to evolve. This is a situation that we don't know where it's going to take shape. We don't even know if something else is on the horizon that's just as deadly or worse. So the idea is to move forward, adapt and move forward, right, into this new world. So well, hopefully we return to a space where we can be amongst each other in person and at events. Do you have like any wish lists in terms of that? Like, do you see yourself one day at something as grand as an Evo, doing commentary? What is that? What do you think about these things?
Yeah, I like. So when I first saw like Yipes and Chris Matrix, like I always, again, because I started in FGC real late, I had to like look up stuff to learn about guys because I was meeting amazing people and like I didn't even know. I looked them up and I was like, man, these guys get to do this, that, and I saw the stages on Evo and everything. I'm like, yo, I want a moment like this. Like I want to feel that moment, and like I just want to like commentate legendary events, or at least I want to play in those. Like I want to be somewhere a part of that. And I was like, man, how much work do I have to put in to get to this level? I'm like, I'm going to do anything so that I could be at one of those major stages. So I'll be like, Koustics was there when this happened, and like he's in the vid or he's in the clip. And now when they do the compilation videos, it's like a compilation of craziest Koustics moments on the mic or something like that. I really want that. But like at the core of it, I also want people to laugh, right? Like there's a lot of my life that was a struggle, right? But I was like, man, this shit is funny that they're doing it. And I know there's people who are at home who, like, at the end of the day, some of these people just laugh because it's entertainment, and sometimes it's just to distract them from the real problems they have in their life. And I was like, of course I have grand dreams. Like, who doesn't have grand dreams? Like, I want to commentate a major as big as Evo. I want to travel. Like, I want to go to the I want to go to the UK, EU, somewhere. I want to get out of like America and even commentate somewhere there, or like I just want to do, or even play somewhere there, right? But at the end of the day, like I want people to be able to look at what I do and smile.
Okay,
that's the real goal. As much as my personal ambitions are, the real goal for me is I want someone to be able to look at this. No matter what I do, I want them to be able to smile and enjoy themselves for even how brief or how long it is. And that's what I really want.
Nice. I hope, you do achieve those goals, like, when the world allows us to. Yep. And that you just keep pushing forward in that aspect, and just, putting on a great show. I think, I watch you even today when you're doing stuff and the times before, and like you're on the fly innovative. You're not heavily on the catchphrases, which is nothing wrong. Some people have
sometimes
made a living on catchphrases. Some of the best commentators do, but you have maybe one or two words, and then constantly just coming up with something new each time and stuff, and not just to be funny, but to also analyze and explain and break down what's going on, which I think is very important because people always bump into stuff like this. Someone right now is probably just seeing what you're doing for the first time ever, and they're like, "What is this?" And you're there able to break it down for them and like have them understand. They're like, "Oh, okay, I get it now." And then one day that person may find you and say, "Hey, this is where I saw you for the first time," and it could be a simple thank you. It could also be aspiring for them to want to do it. So it's the things like that you think about when you're in this community and how you, not only how you become inspired, but how you inspire others and stuff. That I always think that's like a wonderful thing about being a part of this community.
Definitely.
For sure. I know you don't have a lot of like time in the community, but we talked about inspiration, like, and you mentioned, of course, Yipes and Chris Matrix. Like, who else do you look up to as far as a gamer, someone in the community? Who are people that you admire in the community?
Oh, so of course, you already know I have to give it up to our own The Voice, my man Afro Dynamic. Guy has an amazing body of work. Even if he doesn't brag, he's incredibly humble about it. Like it's like the way he can just control the essence in a room just by sitting there and just like smiling. Is amazing.
Smooth jazz voice.
Yo, he is smooth. That man is as smooth as Luke Cage.
The Bob Ross of concert.
Exactly. Right. I have to thank him. Of course, like you and Rage, like the things you do behind the scenes. Like I'm actually like envious of like the things you guys have.
Don't be. It's not fun.
I know it's not fun. Like I know it's not fun, but like you guys, like I appreciate the quality of the work you guys do. Like you guys are absolutely amazing. Like I appreciate that. I have to thank Retro. Retro's one of the first to accept me as like his little nephew. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Retro. I want to thank Coach Steve, actually. Like Coach Steve and me talk a lot, and like he's probably one of the only person at FGC that I've talked to a lot of the hardships that I've had. And like Coach has always been open with like people around him and his followers about when it's tough for him. And I love his brand Fight Forever because I think that's like something that like you could always just get on board with. Fighting forever.
Coach, you've been mentioned so many times on our podcast. You need to come on here so people know who you are, man. And people know who you are, but for people to really know who you are. Yeah,
people to really know, like, you Coach is amazing.
Well, that's for another time. So
that's for another time. I want to thank them. I have to thank, now these are my personal people. Like, they don't go heavy in the gaming community. I have to thank Shay. I have to thank Lapras. They're brothers. And I want to thank them because they're the people that actually taught me, like, fighting games. Like, because I was okay at a certain level, but they're the ones that elevated my game to another level, especially in the multitude of games that I've started learning now. So I want to thank them when they see this. I gotta thank all my other like training partners, Remy, Rich. Thank Joe Rod. Joe Rod is part of the reason I'm even able to do this because he rides me around the places, right? So he drives me all the way from Brooklyn to Bronx, like consistently every Saturday. Right, and that's amazing. And he lives in Mount Vernon. Okay. So he would drive me every Saturday. So like I have to thank Joe Rod. I just want to thank all the people that believed in me. I even want to thank the people that doubted me because the people who doubted me, it wouldn't be possible without you guys hating. Like you need people who hate on you, and you need people to love you. And I just want to thank the community. Right, I know it's been a very tough like year and some change now. With all the incidents inside our community, right? But I think this is for the better, right? There's a lot of things we needed to clean up. Even as someone who came in really late, I see the changes we can make for the better. And I hope we continue working towards that. So, like, I just want to thank fighting games, man. They really actually changed my life.
That is awesome. That's why I really appreciate your time here. And it's late over here as we're recording, so I want to cut this a little short. But I do want to bring you back in the future episodes. You know.
Oh yeah, I'll have more stories to tell.
Of course, mad stories to tell. Before we go, how can people reach you to thank you, to hate on you,
so
ask for some advice?
I'll let you guys know. I accept all message requests on Twitter. I constantly monitor my Twitter because I know that's how a lot of people get in touch with me, and I always post my cap on there. So you can follow me on Twitter at Killer Kofi. You guys can hit me up on Discord. My Discord is Koustics. I'll even post it on my Twitter later on, just so you guys can message me. Going forward, when I start doing more content creation, I'll have a Twitch and a YouTube. The YouTube is already Koustics, so you guys, it's KPB Koustics, so you guys can follow me there. And that's the YouTube, and then the Twitch is Koustics. I just pop into people's chats as of right now just to meet everyone in the community. But yeah, so you guys will be catching more of me later. And again, like the main way to contact me, Killer Kofi on Twitter. I answer all requests. I talk to everybody. I am not Hollywood or bougie yet. So
thank you so much, Kofi, for being on. We're definitely gonna get you back in at some point, and just really get to know more about you and just the things around yourself and what you do in the community. Once again, thank you guys for listening and watching, depending on wherever your medium is for this. If you do want to listen and don't have the time to watch it on, say, Twitch or on YouTube, you can check it out on our podcast channels. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Google Podcasts. That being said, I want to wish you guys all a safe and pleasant day. This is KPB Rodimus Prime. Wish you all to be good and take care until next time. Be good.
peace.